train to the plastic underground. Approaching the station, please stand away from the platform edge. Alright, so this is a special little project here. This is for my brother-in-law, Will. He's a huge Superman fan. So I found this file for the Superman, and I thought it was really cool because it's like the original like comic version, and it had him breaking the Kryptonite chains, and I just thought it was a cool little statue. And yeah, I haven't done anything Superman, so I wanted to paint this. Plus it was after a couple weeks ago I finished up that Babu Frick statue, painted some skin tones, and got a little bit more comfortable with that kind of stuff. I wanted to do something a little bit more like intricate and human, so this is what I ended up doing. It was 3D printed. Took me a few days on my little printer. And then I sanded everything smooth with like 120, just get rid of some of the lines. And I go around and I glue all the stuff together, and I'm using some of this two-part epoxy just to fill in some of the gaps and the seams. And I use this little palette knife here just to kind of push it in the seams and just kind of sculpt with it. And the only part I really had to do this was the back of the leg and a little bit around the shoulder and like bicep area. So I just kind of sculpt that in place, sand it. I sprayed everything with a white satin primer, just to get everything white. Plus there's a lot of reds and bright colors on this guy, so you start with white. Those colors show through a lot better. I left his cape the gray. I painted that with a gray filler primer, and that way when I paint it with the red, it's a little bit different shade of red than his like spandex. I wanted the cape to look more like cotton material, so that's why the cape is not white. This is a new technique I picked up on for like painting miniatures and statues and stuff. Silly putty. So silly putty has this great ability to be able to like sculpt and mold, and it doesn't stick to the paint underneath. So you could like literally spray this red on, let it dry to the touch, and then put silly putty on it for masking. And then when you take the silly putty off, it would not pull the red fresh paint off because it's not sticky. It literally just like sits on top of the paint. It's crazy. So I used that on his hands, so I kept his hands white so that the skin tone would go on better, and I got everything painted red. Now I put his chest symbol, a little bit of sticky tack on this paint cap just to have it stick in place so I don't have to hold on to it. And I start going through with some of this yellow, and I just do the inside of the S. You can see how much nicer yellow goes on white. Yeah, if this was gray, you'd have to put like 4 to 6 coats of yellow on. I think I end up doing 2 just to make it like even. But you honestly could get away with 1 if you really wanted to. Alright, now we go through here and I start working on his belt. This is a good example of what I was just saying, because this belt got sprayed red and now I'm painting yellow on top of it, and I put like 4 to 5 coats of yellow on. And sometimes the trick with doing that is, well, not the trick, but what happens is, like, the more coats you have to put on, the thicker the paint gets and the more like less smooth it looks. So you water down your paints a little bit, so that does not happen. So here you can see taking the silly putty off. Everything looks good underneath, and the silly putty sticks to itself, so you can literally just use the silly putty to like pull the rest of the silly putty off. Here's a little quick masking tip. Just wanted to spray his hands here. So I just kind of wrapped the bottom part that was painted with my shop cloth. So I can go ahead and spray his hands with this like peach color. I think it's actually literally called peach. I use acrylic paint. I use like cheap like Apple Barrel Walmart paint. And I just kind of mix it with a little bit of water. And I don't use my airbrush as much as I should, honestly. I'm learning a little bit better how to use the airbrush, and I'm getting back into using the airbrush. And you know, it's just always been a pain to me to like clean it between. And but I've learned a lot recently, and I've watched a lot of videos on like airbrush, like cleaning and thinning, and you know, making cleaners and that kind of stuff. So. I'm painting the base here with the same yellow as is on his chest. I wanted this to be like the original colors. I did a lot of research. I'm not like a big Superman guy myself, so I was kind of intimidated because Will is such a big Superman guy, that I wanted to make sure I was painting this the right colors and the right era and comic version. So I looked at a lot of images and settled on this, and I got lucky because this ended up being like one of his favorite versions. And I did a couple things on this that he said like most statues that you can find like don't do. The yellow Superman logo on the back of his cape, for example, most statues, he said, don't do that. And the yellow and red symbol on the chest was like his favorite era. So that was pretty cool. I'm glad that worked out. I got lucky. It's always a good bet, like with him and I, like the original, like some like the early era of stuff is always kind of where we lean to some of our favorite stuff. So yeah. So I just go around here with some red. You can see I did those Superman logo and the lettering on the base, and now I can go through and I can do his chest symbol. Put a couple coats on that, make sure that red looks really nice. Then I go through here, and like I was just talking about, I do the yellow symbol on the cape, and I paint that whole symbol yellow, and I put a few coats of that yellow on there. I found lately that the more like 3D prints and statues and stuff that I've painted, the more comfortable I've gotten doing it, and honestly, the more I realize that like I really enjoy doing it. So using some silly putty on all the red parts, his boots and his spandex and stuff, I masked all that stuff off, and I'm going through here with just a little bit of gloss blue. And this is like a nice, bright, like vibrant blue. And I try to just spray that on a couple thin coats. And I let that sit overnight. And now you can see, when you pull the silly putty off, you're left with these nice, bright red boots and stuff underneath. The other crazy thing about Silly Putty is that, like, you would think now, like, oh, so that's got blue paint on it, so that's, like, done. But it's not. You literally just put all the Silly Putty back together in a ball and just play with it and kind of stretch it a little bit. And then, yeah, it's good to go. Like, you can just use it again. Like, it gets dirty, obviously, but it doesn't lose that, like, ability to do what you want it to do, which is kind of cool. I like that. I like a reusable product. I also really enjoy things that work for stuff that was never intended to work for, which is kind of funny in general when you're talking about, like, Silly Putty, because the original purpose of Silly Putty was to make a synthetic rubber for, like, tires, and it became, like, one of the best-selling, like, toys of that era. And now here we are again using it for something that it was not intended for, and I really enjoy that. I think that's funny. I like when that happens. So, all the Silly Putty's off. I can glue his chest to his legs, and you can really start to see this guy start shaping together. And here's his symbol. Then I can go through here with some blue. This is as close as a blue that I could get to his uniform, and just painting the top part of these letters. These letters are supposed to look like three-dimensional. I think it's like the old comic style, title. So I paint those blue. The hardest part about this was painting the black in between the letters. I did not film that. I watered down some black paint, and I got it to the point where I could literally just kind of like put it on there with my brush, and it would run in between the letters, and that's kind of how I did the black. I thought it would be kind of fun to put this blue in that seam there, so I went ahead and did that. Then you can do the most tedious, like, painstaking part of any model, and that is the eyes. Yeah, it's hard to even film it too. This is like way zoomed in. I'm using this little brush here. I do that technique where I load my brush with white paint, and then I put it on my thumb there, and then I can kind of like just load up my brush from my thumb. And it helps keep your brush like pointed. You can kind of like rub and twirl it on your skin there right before you paint, and yeah, that's how I did that. So then I go through with some black, and I can start doing his hair. So I kind of do the back first, and then I kind of slowly work on the like outlines of where his hair is, making sure that I paint just his hair and not his face. The other thing about this model is I really went back and forth whether or not I wanted to do like cell shading and make it look like the comic with like the black shadows and stuff, and I ended up not doing that. I also didn't really get too crazy with like painting it realistically. I could have put like washes on the skin to make his skin look more human, I guess would be the word for it, make it look more realistic. But since this is like based on the comic, I wanted all the colors just to be the colors. I wanted them to just be like flat colored, not like three-dimensional shaded. And I kind of like that. I kind of like the way it turned out. It kind of looks like the comic art without the black shadows and cell shading and stuff. But I don't know. I'm almost tempted to paint another one and do some of the black outline, like shadowing and stuff. This is me painting his blue pupils, making sure that they are straight so he's not cross-eyed. Okay, now for his chains, I gave him a coat of white, and I'm using this like bright lime green. This is just some random paint I had on hand. A long time ago, I did a video on like painting RC bodies, and this is the type of paint you use, and you paint those from like the underneath. And yeah, so this is some of that paint left over. But I thought it'd be a pretty good bright green Kryptonite. So I just give it a couple coats of that, and then I flip those over, obviously, so I get the other side. Now it's time to assemble Superman, but you can see here how I did the black, and how honestly that black outline brings that whole thing together. It really makes it pop and stand out on that yellow. So, adding a little bit of glue to his feet and the pegs on his feet. And then just pop him on his base here. Then you can pop his head on. Then I glue his symbol on his chest. This model I found comes with 3 versions of the chest symbol, depending on the version that you want to paint. Like I said, I ended up on this one because it's more of the original. I was hoping to do all 3 and then be able to like swap them out, but the chains are kind of in the way, and you couldn't really get the symbol off, so I just put that one on permanently. So that's how it is. These chains were very confusing to me. There was no like direct like model reference that shows like which are which, so I kind of had to figure out where they went. It could be an issue of like a print quality too, like the print could not be like great on the connection parts, so that some of these almost like didn't want to fit. But yeah, I ended up figuring it out. And then the cape gets glued on. And that is it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed that as much as Will did. And if there's anything else like Superman related you want to see, let me know. And I will see you guys next time I make something cool.